So the question I get typically from a lot of customers is, okay, how can I save money on Google Workspace licenses? And that's any customer. Folks are, they're buying these licenses, they're onboarding users, and they want to figure out, okay, how they can save money. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And one of the possible solutions for this is to use Google Cloud Storage for archive data. So if your organization has a lot of users and you typically use a lot of different licenses, you want to think about, okay, how can I reduce costs for users that offboard? So that's what this solution is going to help solve, because we're going to actually be able to move some of this data into cloud storage. And naturally, you're going to ask, okay, so how do we get there? So there's a three-step process. I simplified it down to just these 3 steps. The first thing is we're going to plan and design an offboard account strategy. So how you're going to offboard users if you don't already have one. And then from that point, you're then going to move over to a data export. I'm going to show you how that works within Workspace. And then lastly, once that data is exported, I'm going to show you how we can migrate that data into a new cloud storage bucket. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into a demo and share that. All right, so I'll zoom in just a little bit here. Okay, so the first thing, this is just the admin console within Workspace. The first thing what we want to do here is I'm going to go on what's called customer takeout. And this, for those of you familiar with Google Takeout, that's a way that you can get all your data downloaded into Google Drive. I'll just pull that up briefly to show you. So if I were to use Google Takeout, I could take all this data and throw it into my Drive, which is cool. But with this customer takeout, especially for enterprise customers, especially if you have a lot of users, let's say you've offboarded in the past, 5 or 6 months, you can use this data export to download all of the data within your organization. And once you download this data, it actually doesn't put it in Drive, nor does it even put it into like a Google Vault bucket where you have to download it. What it does is it puts it in its own cloud storage bucket. And as you see here on the screen, I started this a few days ago, but the whole purpose of doing this earlier is just to save time, of course. And then once it happens, we're going to have a cloud storage bucket, and you can see it's labeled takeout export. And this actually gets sent to all the super admins within your organization, right? So there's ways you can lock this down as well. I've worked with Google support before, and they could take folks off the super admin that don't need access to this. But when we come into this bucket, you're going to see like all the different types of resources in your organization. These are the user accounts. Like if I click on my user account here, there's this huge zip file of all the data that's in this one. And the same thing for every single user account, within cloud storage. I'll go back a little bit. And so what we're going to do is we're basically going to take this. This is this URL. It only lasts for 30 days. So if let me show you one other thing. When this data export comes up, you only have 30 days access to it. But the key thing is it's free access for 30 days, free access to this bucket. So within that time frame, you definitely want to have that strategy in place on how you're going to get data out. And the way I found it's been very quick, surefire way to do that is we're going to go ahead and use Cloud Shell. And so for the purpose of this demo, I've actually gone ahead and set up a cloud storage bucket already where this data is going to go to. And then from this standpoint, I'm just going to go ahead and run this command. Just going to use the gsutil command and copy this data recursively from this existing bucket into this new bucket here that I've highlighted. So once I go ahead and do that, we're going to go ahead and get an authorized Cloud Shell for the API. And just like that, you're seeing that operator completed. For the purpose of this demo, of course, I made this data really small. Also, you notice that the current bucket I'm in, there's no project assigned to it. It's just, like I said, it's that sign URL. So if I go to cloud storage, and now we're going to go into cloud storage. We're going to click on the bucket I've created. And then just like that, you could see here's the data that I just transferred November 3rd. And then from here, you could decide whether or not, where you want to download it, or if you want to maybe set a lifecycle policy on this data. And the real benefit of this is, like I said, that storing data within a cloud storage bucket is a lot cheaper than if you were to use a license within. Because I'll show you one more thing, is if we were to go into the billing for Google Workspace, actually, it's like we're looking at the Enterprise Plus license. That will cost you for unlimited $30 a month, right? So like storing that, and your users may not even be using that amount, but $30 a month no matter what. So by taking this data, putting it in a storage bucket, you'll drastically reduce your costs. And the best way to figure out what you'll pay is pricing page on the Google Cloud, and figuring and looking at how much it would cost to move data from Workspace in Google Cloud. So that is it. I just wanted to share that with you all today, show you an option on how you can move your data into Google Cloud storage. Does anybody have any questions? Awesome. All right. So that's all I have for today. Definitely feel free. Any questions about this topic in the future, or maybe how you had some maybe bigger projects on how you can implement this, feel free to reach out. I'm on social media as well. A lot on LinkedIn as well, sharing different tips on Google Cloud and how to take advantage of different things. So feel free to reach out to me, and we'll definitely. I'm looking forward to helping in any way I can. Thank you.